Thanks, Kelly. And I love all the hype coming up through the chat box. So obviously this is a very powerful room, and I'm very excited to be part of it this year as a first year guest. And when I got asked to, I reached out to Brian and Kelly. I was like, hey, can I talk about something? I want to give back in some way. I didn't think they'd actually take me up on it, and they did. So I was really excited that they actually asked me to speak on this topic because it's ironic because Josh has seen me in the times that we work together sell a crap load of hunting knives, and I usually sell a lot of kits versus singles, and it's just kind of always been one of those staple things that just kind of started a few years ago, and I've just kind of been running with it ever since then. And I really feel like that it may, it's not maybe not as big as like Cutco Kitchens, which Luke, that was a great message, tons of notes on that. So hopefully this is like another little asset that you can add to your add to your kit of your set selling skills or your knife selling skills as well. Because I'll just lead off with this. One of the things that I noticed, and this was back in the Christmas time of 2016, I was working a little mall called Sunset Mall out in San Angelo, and it's kind of like near the West Texas kind of area. And there's a lot of hunting knife kind of guys out there. And we all know the type, the ones that come up and pick up the cleavers, or the ones that pick up the K bars, or, the hunting knife guys, what we call them. And the thing is that my first year there, I started noticing what's happening a lot. And I was running across military people, a lot of guys without their wives, and a lot of single dudes. And it just kind of became a struggle bus in like the first maybe like 5 or 6 days I can recall, where anyone that wasn't like a classic Mac customer, I was kind of starting getting a little frustrated with, because I was like, I either sell them a hunting knife or I don't. And it was usually a don't. And I started trying to figure out, I was like, man, I get so many of these types of customers at these different shows, especially in West Texas, that I need to change what I'm doing. And I need to be, as I'll talk about here in a second, like Curtis, become a chameleon. And I basically adapt to the style that your customer is. Some basically learn the language and speak their language per se. So I made some adjustments and made a script, and my script has evolved over time, to which I'll get into here in just a few minutes, sharing with you guys to learn how to talk to these type of customers. And the funny thing is that once I started getting really good at it, I actually, believe it or not, I actually ended up getting good at upselling people that were buying hunters kits and actually upselling them into homemakers for their wives. And it was actually starting to become a pretty common occurrence. And it's just one of those weird things I figured out, and I've just been teaching it to a few people on our team that have asked for it. So hopefully I gave you guys some good nuggets here for today. So here's a couple of quick notes before we get into the script. I want to make sure you guys know is, number one, like I mentioned, is I take the Curtis philosophy of becoming a chameleon with these type of customers. You got to ask yourself and be super bluntly honest with yourself. Like, whenever you get that hunting knife type of guy that comes up, he's got the big shirt on, or he's got the hat on and stuff like that, and he's just coming up, and maybe he's not a very vibrant personality, or not very someone who's typically our ideal customer because he's a hunting knife guy, someone who totally bypasses the kitchen knives and just starts asking, what kind of steel do y'all use, like right off the get-go. You got to ask yourself, like, hey, am I not excited to work with this person, or am I going to become a chameleon and actually learn that these people have credit cards too? So something I want to make sure that you guys understand is, like, hey, there's an opportunity left on the table that a lot of us honestly do, still hits us from time to time, and making sure to have an intention with these types of customers that they buy lots of guns and lots of ammo, and they spend a lot of money on hunting trips and leases and all kinds of stuff. Of course, they could buy $500 to $1,000 worth of sporting knives, and who knows what that could turn into. God, I've worked Sunset Mall the last 5 years now. Do you realize how many people I've sold hunting knives to that I see them 2 or 3 years later and I sell them a set then? Maybe I didn't catch them the first go around, it was a little bit too much, but they bought a $400 or $500 hunter's kit from me, and then turned back around afterwards, be like, you know what, son, these knives lives up to everything you say they do. I brought my wife this time. I'm ready to get her a set of knives. That way she stops barking at me and starts doing a little bit more cooking. By the way, it be like that sometimes out out in West Texas for you guys that have been there before. You guys know what I'm talking about, but it happens. So hopefully you guys learned some stuff here today. Couple notes here. With these type of customers, I learned it's a lot more effective to be direct, transparent, and to the point when it comes to pricing, never giving them a feeling that you're being a salesperson. If you start using salesperson type language too much, it can kind of turn people off, and they start getting those salesperson vibes from you. They don't really like that. Lean on the term of snap-on tools and guns and some other analogies, which I'll go into here pretty shortly. Lean on the terminology of kits versus packages, which I know is kind of like ironic comparing what we just talked about and what we're really big on. But with these particular types of customers, just typically whenever you're buying hunting knives, fillet knives, pocket knives, typically they come in kits. You don't really see them labeled as packages. Small thing, but it's just something I like to do that I would recommend. The last note here I would tell you before we go into the script is don't be afraid of selling large kits. Guns cost more than the knives. I'm sure you guys all know that. And they have plenty of those. And that's not even counting how much they spend on ammo. Have you guys ever actually gone to a gun show, or actually you guys have an uncle or a brother, maybe yourself included, who's a gun enthusiast? Like, I mean, it's one of those things where I've been to gun shows, like I'm buying a gun here soon, Angie's getting one soon and all that. And I know the kind of money that we're about to drop on that stuff, and our collection will grow over time. But the point I want to make with you guys is very simple. They spend a crap load of money on this type of lifestyle, and there's a bunch of knives out there that cost a lot more than ours do. It's just like with kitchen knives. You just have to remember, hey, you may not be talking to like a classic mom and dad couple on a homemaker signature set. You're talking to a guy who, good chances he has thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of guns and ammunition in his locker somewhere, or like in his man cave somewhere. So once we understand they have money to spend, it's about identifying how to talk to these people. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Just make sure to set your expectations the right way. Please don't prejudge that group of people, because I promise they have money to spend. We just have to, pitch it the right way, basically. So I'm just going to go through this really briefly, just a real basic level script for you guys so you can get the point. There's going to be a couple of key nuggets in there that hopefully you guys catch, like some of the power phrasing and some of the pain points that are in it as well. Because a lot of those philosophies we use when it comes to selling knife sets also apply to this too. You just got to be a little sneaky about it. Make sure, again, don't come off too salesy, just a little bit salesy. All right. So I was like, how's it going, y'all? Great. Do y'all do any hunting or fishing? You do? Awesome. Do you mind if I show you some of the knives real quick? Great. Well, hey, just out of curiosity, are you guys familiar with Cutco knives? You're not? Hey, no worries. Well, just so you know, all the knives that you see in front of you are 100% American made since the 1940s. We actually use a high carbon surgical stainless steel, and all the edges are actually hand honed and buffed at the factory by our family owned company. Now, are y'all familiar with Snap-on tools? Oh, great. Yeah, I'm sure everyone is. Well, great. Well, just like, this is like Snap-on, but for the knives. They're high quality with a forever guarantee. Do you guys follow Texas Trophy Hunters Association at all, like their magazine? From time to time? Cool. Well, just so you know, they've actually featured us in the past as a Best Buy in their magazine because of all these different reasons. Let me actually show you one of our knives. After that, I do the leather demo. I was like, hey, go and take a gut hook. And I will let you guys know as a side note, I always take a double D-edge gut hook out and I hand it to them off the get-go. The reason why I'm doing this off the get-go is because to obviously wipe away the objection of, I don't use serrated edge knives. Well, of course you don't, dummy. This is why I'm going to show you this right now. So take the double D-edge gut hook out, hand it to them, and you do the same leather demo that you would for a Mac customer when you're selling a homemaker. It works. Just a steak knife's not going to be as impressive to them. Give them a double D-edge gut hook. All right, it's all the same edge. So we hand it to him. It's like, all right, Mr. Jones, I'm going to show you this one first. Typically a serrated edge skinning knife is a huge no-no when you're skinning. Doesn't cut very well. What's nice about ours is that they look similar, but they actually cut smooth. I do the leather demo. I do the 1-piece, the 2-piece, and then the 4-piece for them. Obviously, they're impressed just like everyone would be. Now, just out of curiosity, do you guys do any, when you guys go hunting, do you guys do deer or hog mostly? Doesn't matter what the answer is. Great. Well, just so you know, typically our customers can skin about 5 to 7 deer or about 2 to 3 hogs with this knife before needing to send it in for sharpening. So basically, no matter how chipped, cracked, broken, dull, or rusted it gets, I tell all my customers at the end of a season or a trip with your buddies, just wrap them all up, send them into the factory at the end of the season, and they'll fix, clean, and hone new edges on your knives for free whenever you need it. Oh, and by the way, if you ever break it, going through bone or anything like that, you can send it back for replacement at any time. It's kind of like, think of it this way. It's like the little replaceable blades that you're used to, like the real cheap ones. They're great at first, but you just keep replacing them. What's nice about this, think of it as, okay, the blade's not going to pop out, but it does have forever replacement. So inevitably, when this does break, you can still send it back and get a brand new one versus buy a replacement blade like you would with those cheaper brands. So again, you squash the replacement blade people. All right. That's why we're mentioned as a Best Buy. Going into closing now. So I think this is probably going to be there's going to be a couple of important nuggets in this part. So just so you know, Mr. Jones, this knife goes for $124 plus tax, which isn't bad considering that if you go to any major hunting knife store like Cabela's or Bear Claw or anything like that, a quality blade is usually about $200 to $400 or even sometimes more. And it's great, but like once it wears out, like anything else, you have to get another one. Think of it this way. It's basically like buying a new gun, but the ammo is always free. Now, just so you know, we do have 2 specials here at the show today. If you like, I can show you some of the specials if you're interested. Yeah, let's see what you got. Awesome. Well, just so you know, we have our two major specials. Our first one is what I like to call our flat rate. Basically, this is for if you're just looking for like one or two knives to start with. All of our standard skinning knives like these, this is like the drop point, the clip point, and the gut hook. All of our standard skinning knives here, we're actually selling for 124 plus tax, and it's all flat rate. Basically, that means you can customize it however you want. Get it with the gut hook or without. And by the way, I hold up the serrated gut hook, and then I hold a smooth edge drop point right next to each other in a different color. You can get it with a gut hook or without, a smoother serrated orange or black handle. Build it however you like for that same price. Now, our more popular option is actually what we call our hunter's kits. Basically, it already includes one or two of the skinning knives that I showed you, but it also includes a few other things. This is when I demo the shears, the fisherman solution, the K-bar, and then the lockback. So you guys all know how to do those just as well as anyone. After I've shown them all those extra pieces of anything that's considered a sporting knife, I just go right into it. And I'll be honest with you guys, I really only sell two kits. The one kit I sell is always the complete one, the one that's over $1,000, because now I've demoed all of them, so there's a chance I'll sell it. But also it sets that bar. There's a lot of binders out there, so whichever binder that you guys have, making sure to go through, and it has to have at least one hunter's kit, one complete hunter's package that's going to be over $1,000, which is basically just one of everything, right? So it has both the pocket knives, it has the drop point, the clip point, the gut hook, both the K-bars, the big game hunting knife, and so on and so forth. Make sure that's all included, and make sure the shears are included for that too. Those are great game shears for dove and quail. Now, whenever I go through and I start showing them the different kits, I say, hey, Miss Jones, well, just so you know, we have a couple different size kits, basically a small, medium, and a large. Let me show you our complete one first, that we at least know about it, because most people usually consider they're going to use about 70 to 80% of the kit anyways. But these make really great gifts that people like to buy it as a complete kit together, and then they'll just give away a few of the extra pieces to like their kids or brothers or other people that like to hunt and fish as well. So I go into the pricing and I show them everything that comes in it. They either take it or they don't. And to be honest, most of the time they don't take it. That's okay. But the point is that sometimes they do. Just like when we sell kitchens and package deals and stuff like that, always show it to everyone. My most popular kit that I sell personally, guys, my standard kit is pretty straightforward. It's a gut hook, a fisherman solution, shears, and then a lockback. It's $447 plus tax. Well, with the old pricing, I'll have to update that, or 5 payments of $89 a month plus tax. Now, here's the money part about this. I always show the complete kit, show it to them. They take it or they don't, great. My drop down after that is basically obviously just like anything else, like, hey, what are some of the pieces you wouldn't use? They usually take out the small pocket knife, the big game hunting. I really don't think I need both K-bars, some of those common things. All right, great. Well, hey, let me just show you the kit that I actually sell the most often. This is great for starters, by the way. So if you really like this, you can always see me again and order the rest of it. We can always upgrade you. I do use that term for these two. We can always upgrade you to the complete kit down the road, or if you ever want to get extras or spares for like your boys or something, boys, girls, and other people that like to hunt and fish. So we have all those together. I show it to them. And then my little special is simply this. Okay, now just say no, Miss Jones. Most people typically just take it all like as is. But something I do for my customers here I love this line from Kelly's like, because we're at the biggest 4-day RV show in San Antonio area, what I'll actually do for you, since we're trying to break a record, is I'll actually customize this for you if there's anything in here you feel like you wouldn't use. So sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But either way, swap it around, adjust the price by a few dollars, pretty straightforward. If you want to do flat rate, you can, but it's not really necessary. Now, here's the really money part that I remember telling this to Josh, I think like 2 years ago. I think he really liked this, was how to get the K-bars and the big hunting knives into these kits pretty easily. Because I'd probably say at least 25, 30% of my kits I sell include at least one K-bar or one big hunting knife. It's hard to sell a K-bar for over $200 by itself as a single piece. But the thing is that once it's in like a kit, it kind of masks the price of it individually by itself, obviously. So here's basically what I do. The great thing is, Miss Jones, is I'll customize it however that you like. So if there's anything in here you won't use, like say, for example, you like all these, but you really don't need the pocket knife, but a lot of people really love the K-bar. Well, the K-bar by itself is over $200 just for that one piece. But here at the show, if you want to get as a kit, we can take out that lockback, we can add the K-bar, and it's only $100 extra to upgrade to the K-bar from that knife. And by the way, it's really funny because this is like all full price. The benefit is the fact that you get to do the 5 payments, and a lot of people take it up on that. I really haven't given a lot of big like price breaks or discounts like I used to when I first started doing this. I had a smaller kit that I taught some of you guys that I've kind of washed away with now, and I've kind of changed it over the years. I feel like 447 is a really good price point, and that payment of $89 a month plus tax is really good. Obviously, it's going to be slightly higher with the new prices, but you get the point. But the fact of throwing the bait out there of saying, hey, the great thing is, if you get it here at the show as a kit, we'll take a piece out and we'll put a big piece in. It's only $100 upcharge to get that, and I would bring your payments to only an extra 20 something dollars a month. And you'll be surprised as you pitch it how many people will do that. I still remember there's a handful of people every once in a while that will buy it. They're like, wait a second. So if I just buy this kit and I take out this and I take out this, I can put the K-bar and then the big knife in it, and it's only $200 extra. And I'm like, that's right. And they're like, done, let's do that. And the thing is, guys, is that it's never going to happen unless you offer it. But I think just the way that it's phrased and the way that it kind of masks the individual cost really helps out a lot. Now, whenever I get objections, this be like the for real last thing here, and then any questions, if there's time for you, we can throw it out there. But I think one of the easiest things to do with it is free engraving. If you guys don't, this team is really great. So I know a lot of you guys already have engraved stuff, but holy hell, if you don't have like an engraved, multiple engraved lockbacks, like at least 4 with like the military logos on them, or have a K-bar with the military logo, or with like a deer logo of something on there with like a catchy phrase. Every single outdoor knife you have should be engraved. Most of mine are. There's a couple that still aren't that I'm just going to end up replacing here pretty quick before the fairs start and everything. So that way I can use them and then they're fresh knives. But the idea is making sure if something is engraved or it has a logo on it, especially for this, it makes it look a lot more premium. And so I would just highly encourage that. And it's really powerful because whenever people are walking around and think about it or whatever, free engraving is typically my go-to special. It's like, hey, tell you what, if you want to get this, I know you said you were in the Marines, so tell you what I'll do is if you want to get this kit, I'll go ahead and that K-bar that you substituted in there, I'll go ahead and cover the cost to put the logo and the text engraving on there, which is obviously only $10 for us, but it is very powerful. So don't overlook the idea of doing free engravings because the logo's already on file, so we don't have to pay the digitizing fee, obviously, and we're only paying really $10 for this. So it's really not that big of a deal on our end, and you'd be surprised how many people will get very excited about that. So just for time purposes, I'll go ahead and call it there. I'm not sure how I'm doing on time, but Kelly, that's what I got for y'all.
Oh my gosh. Let's see that round of applause, people.
I'm unmuting myself because that was amazing, Dante. I'm not even going to stay muted. It was so good.
I appreciate it.
I like panic. Like I break out in hives when guys come up and they're like, tell me about this hunting knife. Tell me, they're the, the type, they're just like, tell me about the steel. Don't, and I'm like, I mean, they're sharp, you cut animals with them. They're guaranteed forever. That's about all I know. So
Bambi doesn't like these knives.
Yeah. So this is awesome. I love so many tips, even just about like how you position and talk about the hunting knives. Like, wow, it's just like you talk about the kitchen knives. Like you compare prices, you talk about the sets, you talk about how you save more money as a bundle, you talk about them as kits, right? I love, I put in the chat box there that, you're like, oh, the K-bar price gets masked. Everybody wants the K-bar, right? But then you say it's $200, nobody wants to buy it. I love that the K-bar price gets masked in the kit. And I said, just like the ultimate block gets masked in the upgrade, right? Mm-hmm. People are like $400 for a block. And you're like, yeah, or $1,700 for the full upgrade. And they're like, oh, that's way better. Right. So it's same kind of thing there, which is awesome.